Michael Jackson in 2006. It's the only celebrity he's ever known. And he met Michael Jackson because one of Michael Jackson's bodies, while he was in Vegas,
knew Dr. Murray because he had saved or helped his father. And one of Michael Jackson's children was sick, and Dr. Murray was called out to the hotel. That's how he met Michael Jackson, fortuitously. You will learn in the statements that he made to the police, please understand that what was played to you is only part of that conversation. You will get to hear all of it. But in the statement that he made to police, he explained that Michael Jackson and him became friends first. Michael Jackson would share with him things about his childhood, about his family, about his life, his dreams, his hopes. They were friends first. You will learn through medical records that will be provided to you by us that between 2006 through 2008, Dr. Murray did treat Michael Jackson. He did. He treated him for things like toe fungus, for supplication of the hip, treated him for his foot, tested his heart to see if that was okay, did blood tests to see if his liver was okay. On 2 occasions, Michael Jackson told Dr. Murray, I have anxiety and I have trouble sleeping. 2 occasions. And Dr. Murray, who knew nothing about the real problem Michael Jackson had, prescribed Restoril, which you will learn for Michael Jackson was about as effective as water. Now, I don't recall if Mr. Walgren told you this. He may have in his opening statement, but what you will learn in the evidence in this case is that Michael Jackson, he didn't have insomnia. Insomnia is a medical condition or a symptom. You won't learn that he had insomnia. He didn't have trouble going to sleep. He didn't wake up in the middle of the night, watch TV, have a bad day the next day. Michael Jackson had an absolute, total, and thorough inability to sleep. Not for minutes, not for hours, for days. On June 27, 2009, and Mr. Walgren mentioned this, I want to be a little more specific about what happened on that day. On June 27, 2009, 2 days after the death of Michael Jackson, Dr. Murray and myself, and Michael Payne, sitting over there, from Houston, who knew Dr. Murray. We met with police detectives at the Ritz-Carlton, Marina del Rey. The only thing that we chose was the location because we were staying there, and the time because we had to fly in. But you will learn that everything else at that meeting was decided by the police, Detective Martinez and Detective Smith. You will learn that prior to that meeting, a phone call was made to Dr. Murray, and Michael Pena returned it immediately and said, yes, of course we will come and talk. And you will learn that it wasn't just Dr. Murray that had a lawyer in this case. 9 of the people's witnesses also had a lawyer in this case. It was just that type of case.
Now, prior to meeting with Dr. Murray, and by the way, we scheduled the meeting for 2 o'clock, you'll hear. They rescheduled it for 4. We were ready to go. Detective Smith, prior to that meeting, had already toured the house twice at Carrollwood, where Michael Jackson had died. Detective Smith had already attended the autopsy. Detective Smith had already spoken to all the witnesses at the hospital, security staff, house staff, all the doctors, prior to ever speaking to Dr. Murray. You will learn that in the meeting, there was no limitations on the questions that could be asked. There was no limitations on the amount of time it took. We would have stayed there all night if they needed that. You'll learn that every single question that was asked of Dr. Murray, he answered thoroughly. You will learn that he never had to break away and talk to his lawyers to decide whether to answer a particular question. And you will learn that at that meeting, Dr. Murray said to these police detectives, "I don't know what killed Michael Jackson. I want to know also." You will learn that prior to having that meeting with detectives, Dr. Murray spoke to Detective Portia, and I may be pronouncing that wrong, but I believe it's Portia, at the hospital. And Dr. Murray was asked, what
objection called for the objection sustained?
We will call Detective Portia as a witness. And we will ask Detective Portia about a conversation that he had with Dr. Murray. And we believe he will tell you about that conversation.
The objection sustained as to tell you without the substance at this juncture.
He will tell you about the conversation, about what the conversation was about. At this meeting with Detective Martinez and Detective Smith, Dr. Murray told the detectives that about Michael Jackson's problems, about his sleep problems. And he told them about the discussions in the spring of 2009 when Michael Jackson came to him and asked him for help. What you will hear in these conversations, what you will hear in these meetings, in this meeting, is Dr. Murray talking about Michael Jackson's desperation, Michael Jackson's need. Michael Jackson told Dr. Murray that he had inability to sleep, and the only way that he could sleep was on propofol, and that he had always slept on propofol when he was touring. Now, Dr. Murray told investigators this took him back. This didn't make any sense to him. And Michael Jackson told Dr. Murray how propofol was applied. He told Dr. Murray that it needed to be used with lidocaine. He told Dr. Murray that he had a nickname, propofol. He called it his milk. And when you see propofol in person, you'll understand why he called it milk. Michael Jackson told Dr. Murray that the lidocaine that was provided, you had to give it with lidocaine, otherwise it would burn. And he called this lidocaine, his nickname for lidocaine was anti-burn. Dr. Murray told police investigators he was surprised that he knew so much about propofol. He was concerned when Michael Jackson said he was going to use propofol irrespective of Dr. Murray. And so, Dr. Murray told investigators that yes, he agreed. He agreed to help Michael Jackson sleep. He agreed to provide propofol. And Mr. Wellman pointed out that they were going to have experts say that the mere act of providing propofol for sleep is negligent. He spent a long time in his opening statement talking about that. What you will learn from the evidence, though, is this. Dr. Murray provided protocol for sleep for 2 months for Michael Jackson. For 2 months. For those 2 months that he provided propofol to Michael Jackson slept, he woke up, and he lived his life. He went to work, and he continued with what he needed to do, what he felt he needed to do. The evidence is not going to show you that Michael Jackson died when Dr. Murray gave him propofol for sleep. What the evidence is going to show you is that Michael Jackson died when Dr. Murray stopped. What Mr. Walker did not tell you in opening statement, but what you will learn in this case, what you will learn in this trial, is the agreement between, as he told police, the agreement between himself and Michael Jackson to provide propofol for sleep was satisfied for Michael Jackson as long as he continued to provide propofol. But what Dr. Murray told police investigators is that he believed his role in this partnership was to find a way to help Michael Jackson sleep normally. Now, he had always told Michael Jackson, you can't keep using this. What happens when your tour is over? Why can't you sleep normally? Why won't you let me work with other sedatives, something else that will help you to sleep? You will see in these applied pharmacy records not just the propofol that was ordered. And by the way, the amount of propofol that was ordered was exactly the amount that Dr. Murray, as you'll see, our experts will show you, is exactly the amount that was necessary to do exactly what he said he did, and no more. But you will see in those applied pharmacy records, Dr. Murray also ordering midazolam and lorazepam, because he had hoped that he could switch to those sedatives to wean Michael Jackson off of propofol so he could sleep naturally.
How is that sleeping naturally, bro?
What he told police investigators and was left out in the opening statement was that on the day that Michael Jackson died, this was the 3rd day of a weaning process. You see, on June 22nd, 3 days before Michael Jackson died, Michael Jackson finally agreed to let Dr. Murray try to cooperate with him, to try to get him off this propofol. And you will learn that on that day, Dr. Murray gave half the propofol he would normally give. Normally, he would give 50 milligrams in an injection and then a drip to keep the blood levels up. That would be his normal process for the 2 months prior. But on the 22nd, he gave half of each and gave lorazepam and midazolam. And Michael Jackson slept. He slept. And the next day, he got up and he went to work. On the 23rd, and it's 23rd, 24th because the evening goes into the morning, but the next day, Dr. Murray provided Michael Jackson no propofol at all. It was the first night in 2 months that he slept without propofol, and he used only midazolam and lorazepam. On the day that he died, the plan was not to give propofol, The plan was to go to the midazolam, the lorazepam. That's why you hear this recording. Please give me the propofol. Because for 10 hours, on the 25th, for 10 hours, Dr. Murray refused. And him midazolam and lorazepam.